Welcome to this video where we're going to look at using the SpotHealing Brush tool and maybe get into the clone stamp as well. Now this, you can imagine, is your storefront here, okay? And it looks pretty good, but there's a couple of things we might want to do to fix it up. First off, there's a bit of sort of weather spots or dirt or whatever on the awning, and if we're going to have this as maybe our picture on our website or whatever, kind of want to, spruce it up a little bit, make it look even better than it really is. The other thing, that's not too bad, the bench, but this garbage can here, let's see if we can get rid of that as well. So in order to do this, like I said, we're going to use the SpotHealing Brush tool here, and then we'll use the Clone Stamp tool on this one. Now, the SpotHealing Brush tool, there it is, okay, so you can find it there. Traditionally, you use it for, say things like, removing blemishes and stuff and wrinkles on people's faces, but it can also, fix up things like this. And so what I'm going to do is put it into a new layer, and you can just click on this as a new layer. You should always do your adjustments like we did before. They should always be on a new layer, and that way you're not affecting the original image. And if you need to get rid of it, you can without problems, and you can also play with the opacity like we talked about before. So the SpotHealing Brush tool, make sure you're on content aware there, and it's a really smart tool. It sort of looks at the pixels around it and tries to match it. Now, we'll zoom in a little bit, and you can see that there's these marks here. And so what I'm just going to do is just click and drag, okay, over top, and actually, it didn't do anything. Why didn't it do anything? Good question. It's because I didn't put sample all layers. So it was only sampling in the layer that I had selected. And so, of course, there was nothing in that layer, so nothing happened. Try again, Mr. Fleming. And there we go. Okay. And so it's removed these little blemishes. Now, little short strokes work best. Okay, and you can go through and see. And if I hold, Alt, if I hold Control, I can sort of move over. And again, I'm just going to fix up these areas here, just so that it doesn't look as mottled as it did before. Sometimes you have to do it again because it's sort of sampling something from another location. So just be aware that it doesn't always do exactly what you want. You might have to sort of sort it, and Control Z to undo if it kind of looks weird, like that was giving you a little bit of a pattern there. Okay, but that doesn't look too bad at all. So especially if I zoom out a little bit, okay, and you can see here now, right, what it looks like before and after. And that's often a good idea, just to make sure you haven't really change the image or something doesn't stand out as really unusual. And I would say that that's pretty good there. Now, in terms of what it's done, is it has just painted blue. Okay, so that's the layer without the background on. And like I said, what's happened is that it's just painted over with blue. It sort of managed to look at the pixels around it, sample it using whatever algorithm Photoshop has, and that's what you pay the money for. And Photoshop sort of fixes it up for you without too much a problem on your part. Okay, so the next thing to do is look at this garbage can here. Now, it might be a good idea to put a new layer as well. Okay, just to keep them, and don't forget to label your layers as well. I don't know if I did that before. Just double click on it. So this might be the awning. Okay, and I'll call this layer garbage can. And it just makes it easier. I mean, with 2 or 3 level layers here, it's probably not a big issue. But separating them makes it easier to, see which one is which, and then be able to adjust it if you have to. Now, unfortunately, we can't just come over here and use the same SpotHealing brush. You could try. Put a nice big brush here. See what happens. Yeah. Well, I got rid of the garbage can, but we sort of lost a bit of realism. So we're gonna have to do a little bit more. Let's just Control Alt Z and get back to our original garbage can there. There we go. Okay, I lost the layer 2. Let me just redo that. I forget what the thing to redo is, so I'm just going to type it in. Garbage can. All right, let's see how we could use the Clone Stamp tool to fix this up. So the Clone Stamp tool is just over here, and many of you are familiar with it from maybe grade 8 or other courses. And so we've got it here. What we're going to make sure is that we're on aligned, and we're going to sample. We can do all layers. Really, probably in this situation, either all layers or current and below would work. Okay. Now the aligned is important because that will allow us to sort of change our sample and sort of be able to to move it around and choose different spots. Now I'm just going to make my brush a little bit bigger. And so if you don't know how to make your brush bigger, you can use the square bracket keys. Okay, just a second. There we go. So make it bigger or smaller. So the right bracket, I guess, makes it bigger, and the left bracket makes it smaller. Now, there's actually a bunch of other little things you can do with the brush here. So if I take a sample, for example, here, so I hold the Alt key down, you can see it becomes sort of this target. Okay, so it's right in the middle there on the orange, yellow. It's this target here. And so if I sample over here, oops, okay, so hold that, click, left click, and you can sort of see now that I have that sample in here. So if I wanted to, I could paint a tree over here. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of that. Now, there's a bunch of other tools that go along with it. And so if you go to Window, Clone Source, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. One is you can change the width and the height, so you can actually scale it. You can change an angle. You can flip it horizontally. You can flip it vertically, and a few other things there. I'm going to show you, it's not really the purpose of this, but just how easy it is to, say, remove this tree. And so what I'm going to do is, because I notice there's a lot of symmetry here, right? The store is basically symmetrical, right? The left and right walls are basically the same. The awning's basically the same. There's a little bit of difference in the windows, but the tree is kind of up here and the brick is the same. So what I'm going to do is actually flip on the flip horizontal. And I'm just going to hide this so I've got a little bit. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hold my Alt key and basically line up my target with this point here, okay? Because that's the end of the awning. And I'm going to come over here and notice, a little hard to see, where's the end of the awning? Perhaps about there, and I'm just going to try to line this up. Probably I'll have to go like that for the brick. Probably something like that. And I'm just going to paint. Okay. Now I'm not doing a great job because this is not really what we want to do. And there's a little bit of problem there. It sort of shifted it down. Okay, and I'll have to come over and resample and maybe sample down. I'm using a really big brush too. Let me bring that down. I sort of messed it up. Let me just Control Z that. So I'd have to do a bit more work here. And I'd have to probably swap it back. But actually I could come up here, take the target, and probably fix the spot up over here. And it should match up pretty nicely. Now I'm getting a bit of that, so I'm going to fix that up after. But you can see very quickly, and again, like I said, I'm just doing a very quick sample, how I can improve this, okay? So I basically got rid of the tree. There's a little bit more work I'd have to do in there, but the awning part is pretty cool. Wait, like I said, that's not my full purpose here. I'm not trying to get rid of the tree, but I'm just trying to show you how powerful the clone stamp tool is. Okay, now I've gotten rid of this name again here. Okay. So let's actually get into the garbage can, and we'll do that in the next video.